Television. Just saw the latest episode of Mad Men. I really love what they're doing in this final season. They're shaking things up. It's a totally new kind of exploration for the characters in the show. And, some shows, when they're coming towards a conclusion, it feels like they take kind of all the existing threads and they start to tie them together and wind things down. And Mad Men is kind of exploding in a really fascinating way that doesn't remind me of any other show. And I love everything going on with McCann Erickson. As I said last week, I thought maybe by this week they would just jump right into that. And they really did. And I'm so fascinated by the different ways all these different characters that I feel like I've gotten to know so well over these years react to that big shift. Real quick, you have Joan trying to assimilate, finding that she's not given the respect that she needs, and then eventually exiting in a way that at first, I was really rooting for her to fight it out and be like, no, get all these women together and really make a stand. But then by the end, I totally understand why she left. There's a nice little shot of her son there, and of course she cares about her family and understands, I guess, where her priorities are. So I totally feel for Joan. She had a great storyline this episode. The stuff with Roger and Peggy was so nice because they've spent so little time together, and just hanging out in the old abandoned Sterling Cooper office was so lovely. And the weird Bert Cooper painting, which so perfect for him. So they don't even really go to work yet. Don starts out at work and is like, oh, wow, I'm going to have all these great accounts. Kind of gets bored in his first meeting, drives off, looks for Diana, and kind of tries to figure out a way to make it kind of a work trip, making it about beer or whatever, and then not really. That all was really fascinating. He pretends to be you won a big award, then a collection agent, then finally comes clean, I want to make sure she's okay. And I guess those are kind of the big focuses of the episode. We didn't really see Pete Campbell at all. We didn't see Sally. We saw a nice little moment between Don and his wife, who's now, former wife Betty, who's now trying to become a psychologist, and it's weird, but totally cool to see them getting along now. There's a nice focus to just picking these characters and really seeing the different ways they're reacting. I'm so excited. I can't believe there's only 2 episodes left, but this final season, final 7 episodes, is really hitting it out of the park. I'm enjoying it immensely and can't wait to see where it goes next. I give this episode 5 stars with confidence, 5. So I mentioned in another segment that I have HBO now, and I'm just trying to do the 1-month trial thing. And it has been very unreliable trying to use HBO Now. And of course, I'm not for pirating or doing anything legal like that. But man, I'm trying to do the right thing here and go through the legal means of watching Game of Thrones. But HBO Now is a super buggy app. I was changing all sorts of settings on my computer. I went through CC Cleaner. I tried restarting. And it was doing this constant kind of play fine for 5 seconds, then chop, 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 and making it really difficult to enjoy it. So typically what I've been doing over the past couple weeks is watching Game of Thrones in real time on HBO Now, and then watching Mad Men live on AMC TV, live, all on the web, because it's nice both those networks allow you to do a live stream of whatever's playing right now. But this week, I couldn't even get through Game of Thrones, which starts at 9. I got through 12 minutes before I finally had to give up. And anyway, so that was kind of sad, and I had to watch it after Mad Men. But this was another great episode, too. This season of Game of Thrones has really also been very, very strong. This episode maybe didn't have quite as much power or thrust behind it, but still a really great collection of scenes. Of course, both as an expository thing and just because Tyrion's so smart, we have him saying exactly what Ser Jorah is doing, everything. And from the audience's perspective, it's okay, he's reminding us who Ser Jorah is, what circumstances he left Daenerys under are, why he might be taking Tyrion to Daenerys, all that. The stuff happening with Daenerys, man, it's such a sense of cabin fever in the city now. I understand that it totally, you can read it however you want, an allegory for our time in the Middle East or whatever. But yeah, just keeping her in that city this whole time and just dealing with this uprising is, I'm hoping we move past it kind of soon. I know what the next part of Daenerys' storyline is, and I kind of want to get there. But for all I know, we could be here the entire season. And spoiler alert for the end of this episode, but did Sir Barristan and Grey Worm really die? Because I really wanted to see Sir Barristan interact with Tyrion, because I can't remember what their relationship was, or if they had one. And then Grey Worm, I also thought was going to be alive for a while. It's really weird to see the Sons of the Harpy, or whatever they're called, the Sons of the Harpies, being such great fighters, because in the book it's made so clear, like, the Unsullied are the most badass, highly trained fighters you could imagine. Like, they are doing this from age 3, and they are insanely good by the time they're, 15 or whatever time they get shipped off to war. So, yeah, I mean, first of all, it was weird that Sir Barristan joined that battle at all. It was also kind of weird that Grey Worm, who, seems to be Daenerys' like right-hand command or whatever, would be stuck doing that. So, that all felt kind of wonky to me. And if they're both dead, I understand that's going to be the final push that allows Daenerys to allow for Colosseum fighting matches or whatever kind of normal thing that people think they need to establish some kind of tentative peace. It's interesting. That I guess I'm fascinated by that notion of a cultural thing that directly goes against everything that Daenerys stands for, which is no slaves. That's basically her entire platform if she was running for office. No slaves. I guess I am a little curious to see where that goes. The stuff happening at the Wall, not as exciting this week. Melisandre doing her thing. I literally laughed out loud when she just started going all naked time for Jon Snow. We get a little flashback there to how he still feels for Ygritte, and Melisandre obviously knows and gives him the line, "You know nothing, Jon Snow." But I'm starting to get ready for Stannis to just move on. We got a nice little speech between him and his daughter. That was kind of sweet. I'm not sure if that's building to something more, but I guess it makes Stannis seem a little more sympathetic, empathetic, better, more complex character. But I'm ready for them to move on and get off the Wall and just go friggin' invade Winterfell. At Winterfell, by the way, seeing Sansa and Peter talking down in the underground grave area. I think this is the closest the show or the books have ever come to confirming the very popular fan theory out there that actually Liz came to totally on her own before we realized a lot of people were spouting the same thing. This notion that, minor spoiler theory alert if you're worried about this kind of thing, that Ned Stark is not actually Jon Snow's father, that Ned Stark in his infinite honor would never cheat on Catelyn, but cared enough about his family and Lyanna to protect her, and Jon Snow is actually Lyanna's child with Rhaegar. Now, in this episode, they made it seem like Rhaegar raped Lyanna, which is interesting. I always thought that they actually were really in love with each other, but it was kind of a forbidden love, and Ned just wanted to help protect that. So, because I feel like if it was rape, like Ned would want some kind of revenge or something. I don't know, but he's also not that kind of guy. But anyway, it was really weird to have the show come pretty close to saying, what Jon Snow's real parentage is, and I've never actually seen that happen before. I do like seeing all the stuff going on with King Tommen right now, and the way he's interacting with Marjorie, and with this weird power dynamic as Cersei is trying to still hold on to some element of power, and so she does this by creating this kind of little militant religious army. So that's kind of fascinating, and I like seeing that dynamic there. And I'm glad we're seeing more of King Tommen than I think we got in the books, because he's a fascinating contrast to someone like Joffrey or Robert Baratheon before him, in that, he's really a sweet kid and like wants to do what's right, but he doesn't have any of the discipline or the courage of will, I guess, to really make things happen. So, he goes to talk to the new High Septon and is like, oh, he's praying. Okay, I'll try again some other time. Bye. So I'm actually really excited to see where Tommen's plotline goes. And then I think the only other one is we get more Bronn and Jaime headed to Dorne. That's fun. I'm glad Bronn's along for the journey. He's a fun character, and the fact that, we got a great little fight scene with Jaime accidentally using his hand, that's a nice little moment that plays really well on a TV show that doesn't work as well in a book. I can't remember if that actually happened in the book, but everything that's going to be happening with Marcella, kind of freaky. I hope it's done well in the show, but we'll see how that missed Arya this week. I really want to see more of what's going on with her at the House of Black and White. So this episode was a little bit less exciting than last week, but still plenty of good scenes. I'm giving this one 4 stars with a confidence of 3.